let's talk legacy since Justin has just crapped all over Bill Belichick legacy. There are 3 all-time greats playing in this football game on Sunday. Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid. And it's no denying that there's not much a win can do to elevate their legacies. But I definitely think that there's an argument to be made that one of these 3 men definitely has more to gain from the other 2 with a win on Sunday. So between Mahomes, Kelce, and Reid, who has the most to gain with another win in this Super Bowl?
I went on a long rant. Should I go again? I mean, for me, like you said, like I don't know if a lot is going to like elevate. Like we're talking about 3 first ballot Hall of Famers, and I mean right now, all 3 could retire right now, and they're immediate first ballot Hall of Famers. But I think because we're so focused on talking about the greatest of all time, like Patrick Mahomes has the most to gain, and I say that because when you look at achievements at the position, there are only 2 other quarterbacks who have won multiple Super Bowls, multiple regular season MVPs, and multiple Super Bowl MVPs. And we're talking about, to me, 1 and 2 all time in Tom Brady and why are names failing me right now to this day? Joe Montana. You're talking about Tom Brady and Joe Montana. And then when you're in a conversation with them, right, like you add a third right now, like you move past Peyton Manning in terms of all-time Super Bowl wins, like I know Steve's going to look at me funny. I already have Patrick Mahomes as a top 5 quarterback, number 4 actually. Like I only have Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and Peyton Manning above him as it stands right now. And let's say, for argument's sake, he gets another Super Bowl, he gets a Super Bowl MVP. The only reason you would look at Peyton Manning above him all time is because of the 5 regular season MVPs. But you're talking about Peyton Manning has one Super Bowl MVP, 2 Super Bowls altogether, and you can make an argument that the one he won in Denver, it was really the defense and not Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was on his last legs, legit, because he retired right after that. So, like, you can make an argument then that if Pat wins this, you could be talking about the 3rd best quarterback of all time. In just 6 seasons as a starter. Like, for me, if Andy Reid wins right now, I don't know that you're elevating Andy Reid higher than he already is. And for me, Travis Kelce's, regardless of whatever happens, he's a top 4, top 5 tight end all time for me. So I'm going to say
Andy Reid ranked for you as a head coach.
Also top 5. Like you talk about like Vince Lombardi, talk about Bill Belichick, Andy Reid somewhere plastered in there. So I'd say top 5 right now. Another Super Bowl, like you probably say top 3 of all time with another Super Bowl, but it's the elevation, talking about GOAT status, because we know talk about Patrick Mahomes chasing Tom Brady. I think he has the most to gain with a victory right now.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't want to make this a boring show, but I had to agree 100% and wholeheartedly with the Justin. I do want to add, though, with the Travis Kelce, he could win 5 Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowls. I don't think it'd put him above Gronk just because he's not a dominant run blocker. Like, he's a dominant pass catcher. He'll always be, but a dominant run blocker. He's average, maybe above average. He's always been good enough. But I just think when you look at a tight end, below average, right? And so I think because he's not, as a pass catcher, he embodies what you'd want in today's, tight ends. But as far as being the full and complete package, that's Rob Gronkowski, right? And so I agree, Justin. I don't think by winning another Super Bowl, Travis Kelce's stock is going to increase, at least in the bigger picture. Maybe if he wins Super Bowl MVP, maybe perhaps a little bit. I don't know. But because he's never been an elite blocker, at least for a consistent period of time, to me, his standing can never really I can't sit here and just say with utmost certainty that he's the greatest tight end of all time if he wins another Super Bowl. And he's in the conversation, but because he's never been elite as a blocker, I can't go there. Andy Reid, same thing, nothing much to add. With the Pat Mahomes, I mean, again, it's the same thing. It's him, Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, and Joe Montana. With the 3rd Super Bowl ring, Justin, again, I agree with you. Right now, he's probably number 4, number 5 in my top 5 quarterbacks of all time. If he wins this year's Super Bowl, I mean, he's above Peyton, below Joe. Let's say next year they go for a 3-peat and they end up getting it with the Bieniemy back on the staff. Let's say they sign like a Mike Evans or draft another explosive receiver. I don't know what's going to happen, but it brings him a little closer. He's already 28 years old, and I don't think he's going to have the same sort of longevity as a Tom Brady. And so if he's going to reach him or at least come closer than he already is, he's going to have to start winning now. I mean, 7 at 28. at 28 with 7 to go, even if he wins this one, that's still 4 more. I don't know. We're not going to expect them to win every year, right? If they add pieces and more talent at wide receiver, maybe they'll go 3 in a row next year. But after that, who knows what happens? Travis Kelce retires, Andy Reid retires. We don't know what's going to happen, in the next couple of years. And so he has to keep winning as much as he can now. And if he doesn't, then I don't think he's going to be able to fulfill, those lofty expectations. And I know it's not his fault, but the talent and everything that he's done, I mean, I blame him, for having this trajectory as high as this one. I mean, he's just been so great. And so with great power comes great responsibility. And, everyone's held him to high. Yeah, I got to go with Pat.
I'm big fans of all you gentlemen, and I sat here and listened stoically and try to analyze what you're saying. And I just couldn't believe the nonsense spewing out of all of your mouths.
Well, I didn't say anything. This is them too. I didn't say anything.
No, but you're next. You're next to Justin. That's good enough. So listen. What you're saying, what you just said about Patrick Mahomes is exactly why he's excluded from this conversation. He has mad time. He's white hot. He's had the greatest start to any quarterback ever. He's 27, 28. He has mad time to wrap. Quarterbacks are playing into their 40s these days, like high level 40s. So he has at least 10 solid years, maybe not, MVP, clear cut number 1 quarterback in the league, but he has top 8-ish for 10 years, I think is a safe number, right? So he has plenty of time. Travis Kelce cannot catch Gronk by any circumstance. He may be the greatest tight end right now since Gronk retired, whatever, but Gronk is just, what he was able to do is just so far ahead that there's nothing Travis can really do. Andy Reid's legacy is on the line. Andy Reid is already, to me, the greatest coach. To me, he's done it with multiple teams, with multiple quarterbacks. He got Michael Vick out of prison and turned him into a true dual threat, legit passing quarterback. And Bill Belichick hasn't done jack shit. Sorry, Dwayne. Hasn't done anything.
It's true.
Without Tom Brady. So, again.
Ain't no lies told.
Andy Reid to me already is. But I know that I'm in the minority with that. I know people can't get past the 7 titles and can't get past the 20-year dominance in the weak AFC East. So I get that. But Andy Reid has done it in every fact. Even when he was losing, he was winning. He made players that nobody gave a damn about into legit star players. Fixing Michael Vick should get him in the Hall of Fame. Michael Vick's best years, arguably are those Philadelphia years after prison.
Oh, easily.
And so, and then he was winning. He had Alex Smith, and I love Alex Smith. Dwayne Marcus, I'm a big Alex Smith fan. Yeah. Alex Smith was scoring 56 points in AFC title games long before Patrick Mahomes got there. And that was because Andy Reid coached him up. Alex Smith was damaged goods coming out of San Francisco until Andy Reid showed up and a proper coach. So when you're in that level with Andy Reid, he'll have 3 Super Bowls. He has 2 AFC titles, 3 AFC titles. This will be, and then he has the NFC championship back with the Eagles back in the day. So I get 7 is going to be hard to overcome, but Bill Russell has 11 NBA rings and that's not the bar, right? Like, it depends how you do it, when you do it, whatever. Andy Reid has just shown, if he wants to surpass Bill Belichick, winning another Super Bowl will get him there in the media's, especially this year with no true number 1 receiver, everything that they've had going on. And because that was the knock, right? Oh, best receiver in the game, Tyreek Hill. Oh, prime Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. All right, Andy Reid. Now he doesn't have such a bomb squad, right? It's the Chiefs, by their standard anyway, didn't have a good football season, basically by any metric you want to measure. Their season wasn't good. But they've been magical in the playoffs because when it's playoff time, and this is the Buffalo Bills problem, coaching. When it comes down to it, coaching is what wins in the playoffs. The team, the players, the star players get you through the regular season. When it comes to playoff time, that's when coaching matters, and Andy Reid is the best at it.
I don't think anyone is disagreeing with you, Jerm. I think the issue is that we are seeing whatever Andy Reid does, I don't think it improves his legacy. That's how great his legacy is. We're going to say this man is a great all-time coach, no matter what he does from here.
Andy Reid, I agree with Jerm. Andy Reid has the most to gain, and here's why. If let's say Pat Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, he has 3, right? He'd be tied with I think he'd be tied with like Terry Brad. He'd be tied with someone with like there's like one or two other quarterbacks up 3.
I think Bradshaw has 4.
Bradshaw has 4, but he would move away from like that really nasty, because not a lot of people do it, but he would be off that nasty list with Eli of having 2 is really what matters. But also, if he wins the Super Bowl, he's likely going to win MVP unless Travis Kelce goes off and becomes the first time ever to do it. If he has 3 Super Bowl MVPs with 3 Super Bowl wins, there's one guy who has more Super Bowl MVPs than him. It's Tom Brady. Brady has 5. He'd also be tied with Joe Montana, who's the only other guy that's definitively ahead of him, who also has 3. Andy Reid right now has 248 wins in his regular season career. The gap between Andy Reid and Bill Belichick is about 50 wins. Andy Reid doesn't have 3 NFL seasons ahead of him left in his career to be able to catch up to and pass Bill Belichick, because he's not going to win 50 games over the next 3 years, because there's 51 games to play in the regular season. He's not going to go 50, like, you know what I mean? So he also has the 4th most or the 2nd most playoff wins in the NFL. He has the 2nd most playoff wins in NFL history. It's 25. A Super Bowl win gives him 26, still behind Bill, but he has 3 Super Bowls. 3 Super Bowls, along with what Jerm mentioned. He had Donovan McNabb looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the league at the time. He took Michael Vick, who in his time in Atlanta was known for nothing more than dogfighting and being on the cover of Madden, and turned him into a legitimate dual threat quarterback.
The greatest
He's
Madden.
also then responsible for the great, or has a very large hand in the greatest start to a quarterback's career in NFL history with Patrick Mahomes. If Andy Reid wins this Super Bowl as an underdog, without a legit number 1 wide receiver, without Eric Bieniemy, who got a lot of credit for the success, without Tyreek Hill again, right? On top of this defense being the best it's ever been in the Pat Mahomes era, thanks to Steve Spagnuolo, who also has a lot to gain from a win on Sunday. How many, like, aside from the numbers, because we live in a world now where it's all about numbers, right? Yeah. If we lived in a world where it was all about statistics, Jordan wouldn't be the GOAT. It would be Bill, because Bill has 11 rings. If it's not Bill, it's Kareem, because Kareem has the most MVPs ever. So it's not just about accolades. It's about what you did as a head coach. Andy Reid as a head coach has the 2nd most playoff wins ever. He has the 4th most regular season wins ever. He'd have 3 Super Bowls. Not many head coaches in NFL history have more than 3. Not many NFL coaches in NFL history have even been to 4. And there's a large chunk of guys who've been to 4 and lost all 4 of them. So we're talking about he would be 3-2 in the Super Bowl. Andy Reid, I think, wherever you have him right now, I know Jerm said he's the GOAT, and there's not a lot of people that say he's the GOAT. But wherever you have Andy Reid right now, Andy Reid moves up the most. Pat Mahomes wins, he's what, 3rd best ever? Okay, he's 4th, and still has 10 more years to go to close the gap.
Realistically, Andy Reid is probably the 4th best coach, right? Like,
who's your 3rd then?
Bill Belichick. He has to pass him. Like,
no. Who's your other 3? Because I would figure you mean Lombardi and Bill.
Lombardi and George Halas.
I think
as a Packer fan, you would never get me to admit George Halas. Sorry.
Sorry. I know, buddy. I know. That's why I had to say it. That's why I said it.
Fair enough.
My top. So right now, I also have Andy Reid 4. I think that Lombardi is ahead of him. I think that Bill is ahead of him, obviously, and I do think that Don Shula for coaching a perfect season, having the most wins ever. I think that he deserves. That's fine.
Don Shula. Yeah.
So, but
we can move Hollis out then. Hollis is out.
I think that's it's Bill, it's Lombardi, and it's Don Shula. And to be completely honest, I think for a lot of people, I think the only reason why Don Shula is up there is because he has the perfect season and he's got the most wins ever. But again,
to your Super Bowl rings, it will move him out of the Bob Greasy, John Elway, Eli Manning class.
Yeah,
put him with the Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, Troy Aikman. He'll be tied with them.
That's a much better class to be in than to be in the John Elway, Eli Manning class.
I'm not here for the John Elway disrespect.
I'm not disrespecting John Elway. I'm saying we're talking about Eli Manning and John Elway versus Terry Bradshaw, and there's a difference. Okay. The other thing too for Pat Mahomes, and I can be in the minority with this opinion. I'm totally fine with that. I do not think it is impossible for Patrick Mahomes to be the GOAT if he doesn't reach 7 rings, because 7 rings is difficult. 7 rings, winning 7 championships. Tom Brady played in 10 championships. He's played in just under 20% of every of the Super Bowl that's ever existed. Like, that's not going to happen all the time. Like, that's likely never going to happen again.
That's never going to happen again.
At the trajectory that Pat Mahomes is at, with a chance to win his 3rd, I do think if Patrick Mahomes gets 1 or 2 more championships, continues to be one of the, the best quarterback in the league for another 3 to 5 years, wins himself another MVP or 2. We're talking about a guy who has 5 championships, 4 MVPs. He already has the highest, the best touchdown to touch ratio ever, which hurts me because, Aaron Rodgers had it for such a long time. He's likely going to get super close. I know. He's going to get super close to, I think, just because of his arm talent. He's going to get super close to those passing yard records up there with Breeze and Manning and Brady. He's going to get up there to when you start accumulating those stats like that with the performance, with the eliteness, the talent that he has, all of those things, if he gets to 5 championships and is still, he gets over 75,000 yards as a passer. He'll have over 100,000 total when you factor in his playoff yards as well. Like, he doesn't need 7 to be the GOAT. Just like I don't think LeBron needs 6 to be the GOAT. I think it's possible, right? I think Mahomes can be the GOAT without 7. A 3rd ring helps him, obviously. Having 7 rings obviously helps him, of course. But he doesn't need 7 to be the GOAT. Andy Reid wins this game, a big game, as an underdog in the Super Bowl. It'll be their first time as underdogs in the Super Bowl. I think that win helps him more than it would help Travis Kelce and then it would help Pat Mahomes. Because we're all talking about Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce in that light. Not a lot of people want to talk about Andy Reid that way.
2 things before we move on. I just want to say that if Andy Reid had drafted Tom Brady, he would have 10 Super Bowls. That's how much of a better coach I think he is than Bill Belichick. I think if Andy Reid was afforded, we'd be talking a little different about Andy Reid and Bill Belichick in the history of the game. And the other reason why Mahomes can't pass Brady is because didn't Brady just beat him twice with the buck? You can't pass the guy that retired on you. You can't. There's nothing you can do for that. So
but that's why you win more rings. I think
that's true.
Win more, right?
Yeah, you got to have 8. You got to have 8, Pat.